The choice of musical key used to matter much more than it does today. Part of that came down to the instrument themselves. Before modern tuning systems and instrument design, different keys could genuinely feel and sound different because of tuning inconsistencies, string resonance, and technical limitations. Today, with equal temperament and modern instruments, all the 24 major and minor keys are available to us in the same way. In theory, a melody can be transposed up and down without changing its emotional character. But does that mean that every single key is basically the same? I don't think so. Even today, many musicians, myself included, we think of the keys as they carry a different colors and different personalities, right? Some feel warm and heroic, other ones feel tragic and despair. Now, whether that comes from acoustics, instrument resonance, or simply just psychology, it's still up to a debate. But it's a discussion I absolutely love. So, in this video, I want to talk about each key individually and present my opinion on how they present themselves emotionally. Let's get into it. The description for C major is one of the more famous ones. It is said that it's a key of innocence, brightness, and purity. And I mostly agree with that. Pieces of music that I would like to point out here are, for example, Bach's Prelude in C major. One of the most popular pieces of music, and for a good reason. It perfectly reflects the purity of C major. Another can be Dar Dar Docks from Super Mario, which is often described as a sound of water, which can be another side to the key. Another mention of water, interestingly, is present in Chopin's first etude, nicknamed Waterfall, which also finds itself in C major. Might be a coincidence, but still a pretty neat fact. C minor takes the qualities of C major and turns them on their head. The innocence of C major could be described to your childhood years, where everything was just easier, much brighter, right? The C minor can be like coming up to an adulthood. All of a sudden you have responsibilities, commitments, work, relationships, etc. C minor reflects the qualities of C major in a much more serious way. For me, D-flat major is about dreams. Dreams and love. It's a very tender, very beautiful key. But the thing about it is that those emotions feel kind of out of reach. Just like you're dreaming about it. Take Clair de Lune, for example. Beautiful melodies, charming textures and harmonies. But all of it feels kinda artificial. Like too good to be true. Same goes for Liszt's Consolation number 3. An artificial love is the way I would describe it, as something out of a movie. If I had to use just one word for C sharp minor, it would be existential. It's not necessarily sad or tragic, it's just real. Moonlight Sonata is one of the most famous pieces in this key. And I think the piece greatly provides a mirror into a person's life. It shows the not so nice part of you. And I think that's what C sharp minor is about. D major feels victorious. Not in an aggressive way, but in a kind of way like overcoming something difficult. A lot of heroic music is written in this key, and I don't think that's an accident. There is something very open and uplifting about it. Unusual example I have is a Proof of a Hero from Monster Hunter. For me, it perfectly captures this feeling of standing tall after a difficult task. D major sounds like a relief, mixed with confidence. D minor feels much heavier, right? This is one of the keys that people really associate with tragic and drama. But I think there is also something very thoughtful about it. It doesn't sound emotional in a chaotic way, it's very reflective. Dragonborn from Skyrim is a good example. The music feels ancient and powerful, but also burdened by responsibility. E-flat major feels noble to me. Very warm, very human, but also very grand. I often associate this key with honesty and emotional openness. There is confidence to it, but not arrogance. It has this adventurous and larger-than-life sound, while still being optimistic. E flat minor, on the other hand, feels very cold and very distant. It gives me a feeling of walking alone in an abandoned building in the middle of the night. Anxious is the word I would use to describe it. But there's also something mysterious about it. A piece that comes to mind immediately is the Imperial March from Star Wars. Even though it's powerful, it still feels emotionally detached. E major feels very energetic and restless, very bright, very alive. But unlike C major, it doesn't sound completely calm. There is some tension underneath the positivity. It feels impatient in a good way. E minor is one of the most emotional keys for me. Not dramatic sadness, but loneliness. A very personal kind of sadness. The Last of Us main theme is a great example. It feels empty and intimate at the same time. E minor has this feeling of longing for something absent. F major sounds very calm and comfortable, very grounded and sincere. A lot of music in this key gives me a feeling of home. Tuzanangard from Final Fantasy X is a piece I strongly associate with this key. There is sadness to it, but also warmth. F minor feels devastating on the other hand. One of the darkest sounding keys to me emotionally. It sounds overwhelmed, like too many emotions coming together at once. Too heavy to handle. A good example is Sealed Vessel from Hollow Knight. There is pain, there is desperation, there is exhaustion in the music. F minor feels like an emotional collapse. G flat major is, for me, pretty unusual. It has brightness to it, but it's much more distant than with the D major, for example. For me, this key sounds like reaching a peace after a very long journey. There is triumph in it, but also exhaustion. A lot of emotion comes from relief rather than celebration. F sharp minor feels frustrated. There is sadness in it, but also resistance. It sounds emotional in a very intense way. The music feels tired and emotional, but still determined to continue. F sharp minor feels like fighting against hopelessness, restlessly. One word to describe G major is peaceful. This is probably one of the most comfortably sounding keys to me. A lot of folk music and simple melodies work greatly in G major. The original Legend of Zelda theme is a great example. It sounds adventurous, but also warm and welcoming. G major just feels optimistic. G minor, on the other hand, feels anxious. Not tragic, not hopeless, but unsettled. It sounds like something is constantly bothering you in the background. The music is calm on the surface, but emotionally restless underneath. It feels uncertain. A flat major feels, to me, noble. Similarly to the E flat, but in a kind of different way. A flat is mixed with triumph. What I think of when I think of A flat major is like a start of revolution, with A flat triumphant march playing in the background. It's very cinematic as well, but also aware of moments that cannot last forever. G sharp minor sounds exhausted. Not sudden sadness, but years of emotional weight carrying you down. There is bitterness in this key, but also vulnerability. It feels deeply personal, almost like someone quietly admitting defeat. G sharp minor sounds tired in a very human way. A major feels youthful and optimistic. This is one of the happiest sounding keys to me, but in a very sincere way, rather than exaggerated one. The music feels energetic and full of life. A major sounds confident about the future. A minor is very simple and honest. It's probably the most straightforward minor key emotionally. Not overwhelmingly dark, just melancholic. The music feels nostalgic and reflective, without being overly tragic. A minor feels gentle, like quietly accepting difficult emotions. B flat major feels very cheerful. This key is very outward looking for me, like celebration, community and optimism. B flat major sounds like people just enjoying life together, you know. B flat minor, on the other hand, is very cold, very distant emotionally. It's one of the most pessimistic sounding keys, in my opinion. There is sadness there, but also emotional exhaustion and detachment. B flat minor feels like giving up on something very important. B major feels very intense, very bright, but almost to a point where it becomes overwhelming. There is something almost aggressive about the positivity of the key. The music feels exciting and unstoppable. B minor feels patient, sad, but calm. It doesn't fight against emotion, like some other minor keys does. The music feels lonely and reflective, but also accepting. And that's the list. I thank you all so much for watching, and surely let me know down in the comments what do you think of each key. If you agree with my opinions, or if you would change something. I'm very curious. Alright, take care. Bye bye.